Hi, everybody. Good morning. We're back with our Sinai Temple weekly Parsha class. And I'm happy to study for about 20 minutes or so with all of you. This week we are studying Parshat Re'eh. And I just wanted to give you, before we get into some of the insights of the Parsha, I have my coffee. I hope you have your coffee too. I wanted to give you a quick summary of the Parsha. This summary comes from My Jewish Learning. So I hope that if you're seeking a way of learning Torah, just trying to get a sense of, okay, what is the weekly Parsha? What's the way of getting an idea of what the synopsis is? Feel free to always go into My Jewish Learning, or you can go into Sefaria. Those two are fantastic resources. So I wanted to read to you the quick summary so that you are prepared for this upcoming Shabbat. It's Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 26 through chapter 16, verse 17. So from My Jewish Learning, in his last speech to the Israelites, Moses warns them, if you follow God's ways, you will be blessed more than all the people of the earth. However, if you worship false idols and ignore other commandments, then you shall be cursed and perish. We often see this kind of if or relationship when it comes to God and the Israelites, whether they follow the commandments or not. Going back to the verses in the commentary. These are the statutes which you are to carry out. You shall utterly destroy the places where the nations whose property you are taking over served other gods. We're going to get back to this. You shall destroy their altars, break up their memorial stones, burn down their sacred trees, cut down the images of their gods, and you shall obliterate their gods from that place. Then from among all your tribes, God will choose a place to give God's name habitation. When you search for the manifestation of God's presence, you will come to this place that God chooses. It's there that you will bring offerings and donations. There before God, you shall eat with family and servants and the Levites who have no portion or inheritance. All will rejoice before God. Take care to make offerings only in the place where the Lord chooses, but wherever you desire, you may slaughter and meat in any of your settlements, according to the blessing that the Lord God has granted you. Okay, so what I want to explore this morning, I hope you heard some of those elements, blessings and curse, if you follow God's commandments, if you don't. But what I hear as a running theme throughout the Parsha is this idea of Moses admonishing the people, emphasizing the notion of not following false gods. It's perhaps the most central point and element, not just of the Parsha, but if you ask any scholar, any rabbi, what's central to living a Jewish life, even when you ask someone who's going through the conversion process, one of the questions that we often ask is whether that person will kind of denounce other gods that they perhaps, or other beliefs they once held. At least according to the Parsha, what's central, or according to the Torah, what's central in living a Jewish life is there should be no idolatry. No idolatry. Even to the point of what I just read, cut down images of other gods, obliterate gods from that place. And when God chooses a place to give God's name a home, bring offering to that place. So I wanted to bring this up because I think in 2025, when you say, the main theme of the Parsha is to make sure that one is not idolatrous, one might say, what does this have to do with me? How is the Torah portion? How's the Parsha? How does that relate to my life at all? But I think, especially in 2025, we are still falling incredibly short and behind of what God expects of each of us. We let false gods take God's place every single day of our lives. So what do I mean by that? Do we sit down or stand or bow to Egyptian gods or Greek gods? I don't think that's part of our daily practice. But we spend, I believe, so much time worshiping everything else And we're going to get into some of those things. Everything else. But often I think God is just looking for a way back in. I think that is the essence of the Parsha, that we are worshiping so many other things that God is begging through the verses of the Torah, verses that are just as relevant today, asking for us to find God's place, the place where God's name is, repeatedly. So I want to share a few stories with you, inspired by the various insights and teachings from rabbinic thought leaders. So a story from the Kutzker Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. And this is the idea of idolatry of self, worshiping yourself, where the ego plays a very big role. So here's the story. Once a young man came to the Kutzker Rebbe, and he was filled with pride in his learning and his accomplishments. And it's not that you shouldn't have pride in what you've learned and what you do, but this is what he said. He said, Rebbe, I've studied Torah deeply. I've given charity. I fast. I pray. And I have nothing more to learn. And the Rebbe looked at him carefully and replied, tell me, who are you bowing to each morning? And the man was puzzled. Well, Rebbe, I bow to God, he said. And the Rebbe smiled gently. No, young man, you bow to yourself. You have made a God of your own knowledge, your own deeds, your own pride. You are worshiping the idol of I. Every time you seek honor for your learning, every time you think yourself better than others, that idol grows. The young man's face fell, and the Rebbe continued. The real service of God is to stand empty-handed before God, knowing that all you have, even your mind, is a gift. Anything else is idolatry of the self. So I want to pause for a moment before the next story, but I want you to think to yourself, when do we fall short and succumb to idolatry of self? Now, our kids do it because it's developmentally appropriate. When you think of preschool, often our kids join in what's known as parallel play. This is probably like when kids are, toddlers, 2 or 3 years old. They're engaged in their own activities, but they play side by side. But soon, over time, and maybe you start seeing this in pre-K, they branch out. They start to share. They overlap. They take. They give back. And they learn to exist past themselves. It's no longer parallel. It's not just centered on I, but they start to engage with the other. But I would argue that over time, even though we learn that lesson very early on, we retreat back to parallel play. It's harder for us to see past our own needs, our own wants. And in no way am I saying that we should diminish who we are or the talents we have or the passions or purpose we're meant to offer this world. I taught this in a sermon, I think something like a year ago, that we must find a way to shine while also enabling someone else's spirit to break through. That my own brightness, your own brightness, should be able to exist while someone else shines just as vibrantly. My own light shouldn't blind me of the light that you are also offering this world. So that is idolatry of I. So the second story, idolatry of wealth. Here we go. During the darkest days of the Warsaw Ghetto, Rabbi Shapira noticed that some people place all their hopes in money or status. And this is the story that he would tell. There was once a man who owned many shops and wealth beyond imagination. Every day he counted his coins and he added to his treasures, believing that as long as his gold grew, he would be safe. Well, one night thieves came and took everything. And the man cried out to his money, "Save me!" My coins, save me. But the coins wouldn't move. They could not speak. They could not help. And the man realized what God has always known: money is not a God. All that you cling to, your wealth, your position, your comfort, it's a false altar. Only the breath given by God, only our connection to God is what sustains us. Everything else, he says, is an idol waiting to betray you. And so, what's the lesson here? True security, trust, that belongs to God alone. And we should never think of material wealth or all the things, all the material stuff. And trust me, if you look outside my house, I have Amazon boxes piling up every day. It's all stuff. I'm still ordering from Amazon, by the way, but it's all stuff. But material wealth is a powerless idol. And I know this is one of the greatest struggles we have. Oh, it's I think one of the most powerful idols that stand in our way, because everything in our culture, everything on social media is designed to let us know that the way to lead successful lives is by attaining things. We are taught that success equals where we are on a financial ladder. And wealth is important. Wealth is what enables so many people to give charitably and thus change the world for good. Thank God for those who give from their heart and from their means in order to make this world a better place. But what the rabbi is trying to teach us in this story is that wealth cannot be the only measure of success. If we only see wealth as a measure of success, that's when we fail and succumb to that kind of idolatry. Remember what we learned from Pirkei Avot. Ben Zoma asks, who is rich? And the answer, the one who rejoices in his lot. Hasameach bechelko, the one who's happy with his lot. It doesn't say money or things. It says, are you satisfied with your lot? Do you feel content in your relationships? Your relationship with yourself, with your loved ones, with people whom you wish to be closer, with God? Do you have more to give to this world with your creativity, with your purpose, your passions and drive? Are you attaining wealth for a particular status or rung on a ladder? Or are you spending your precious time in this world giving in a way that refines your soul? Okay, I'm going to give you a few more. This is by Karlbach. Modern idolatry of success. So here's Karlbach's story. It said, in a bustling city, a young professional came to Rabbi Shlomo Karlbach, frustrated. Rebbe, he said, I have everything I could ever want, fame and recognition and success, yet I feel empty inside. I thought achievement would satisfy me. And the Rebbe leaned forward, his eyes twinkling. He said, tell me, when you rise in the morning, who do you bow to? And the man thought to himself, I guess I bow to my work, my schedule, my ambitions. And the Rebbe, he laughed. Sounds like the other story a little bit. It says, you've built idols out of your own striving. It's a little bit different than the I. This is bowing to every promotion, every accolade. They are nothing, he said, but golden calves. You bow to them and you wonder why your life feels so hollow. It says, true devotion is not in what you chase, but in what gives your life beyond chasing. If you place God first, your work, your success, your fame, they all become tools, but not God's. So the lesson, idolatry is timeless. In modern life, it can appear in so many different ways, and it's tricky. Idolatry can appear as success and status or comfort. All of these things are fine in moderation. It just depends, and you have to ask yourself this question, am I bowing to these things? Or are they serving me in a way that I'm able to be a servant, a messenger of God? And so this is what I want to leave you with. I want you to think about the phrase that's often at the top of different arcs across the world, in sanctuaries and synagogues across the world. It often says the phrase, Da lifnei mi ata omed, before whom do you stand? Before whom do you stand? Often our prayers include ourselves at the center of our supplications. I was teaching about this yesterday. Our prayers often say, God help me, God heal me, God fix me. And we need those prayers. Prayer is an expression of the soul. But the Parsha is asking us to expand our prayers by putting God at the center of our lives. I want you to listen to those prayers. God, help me serve you. God, lead me to be a tool of healing in the areas you deem necessary. God, show me how to be your light, your help, your strength in a world of need. God, use me as you see fit. And in expanding our prayerful language, using both, I think the essence of the Parsha of Re'eh comes into fruition. No longer do we see ourselves as entirely the center of our story. No longer do we see other gods appearing from every direction. Rather, we can refine our vision, gain clarity of purpose, no distractions of what we think success means, or comparing ourselves to the influencer of the moment. Of course, all of these things happen. That's why we have the Parsha every week as a reminder to get us back on track. And so my prayer for all of us this morning, God, we stand before you. Direct us so that we can make our lives a blessing. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for studying with me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we look forward to